and welcome to our virtual coaches conference involving one of our most requested subjects, cheer competition. My name is Rose Clevenger, and we are so glad that you decided to join us today. We are going to entitle our coaches conference, Everything You Always Wanted to Know About Cheer Competition, but were afraid to ask. I know that you are aware that there are many cheerleading companies and many different ways competitions are organized and executed. Today, we want to go from square one to help you understand the competition world. We will examine it from the event producer's point of view, from the participant's point of view, from the coach's point of view, from the venue's point of view, and most importantly, from the judge's point of view. So often, an industry event producer, that's what we are, view competition as a lose-lose situation. That might surprise you, but it's true. Everyone who wins is happy. Everyone who loses is unhappy. Your integrity is questioned. Your motives are questioned. Somebody's hotel is performing badly, and of course that's your fault. The venue suddenly requires something of the fans that you were not aware of or not informed of. No matter how much planning you do, there's some huge expense that you didn't anticipate. Your sanity is in jeopardy. Your body is exhausted. Your stress level is high. And you thought that I was listing the things that the coach goes through, don't you? Well, that they are some things that the competition event producers go through also. But there is one thing that makes CCA competition events just the opposite. We measure success quite differently. Yes, we most certainly have all of those aforementioned problems, but something else overrides all of that. When just even one cheerleader makes a decision for Jesus in our praise and worship time, or even one coach lets you know that her parents noticed the Jesus difference in our event, that is our measure of success. Or one team that fought unbelievable obstacle after obstacle to get there hits their routine perfectly. Or when several coaches from several parts of the country meet and become best friends for life. Just the coaches' fellowship is worth the trip. Or one person in solo competition describes what the Lord has done for them in their life. Or when one coach's son tells his dad after praise and worship, "That's the best church service I've ever been in." That's our measure of success. That's the real reason we keep doing this. Every praise is to our God. Now, let's get started on something to help you compete. We're going to have Q&A with questions that we get all the time, as well as some that we know you want the answers to, and new things that you need to know. And hopefully our answers will help you navigate the competition events. This is going to be a 5-part seminar, 5-part coaches conference that we are going to lead you through from the very beginning. First of all will be the first steps of when do you know if you should even be competing and that kind of thing. Part 2 is going to be starting your choreography. Part 3 is going to be putting it all together. Part 4 is going to be some scoring with a lot of important questions and answers. And Part 5 are going to be some videos where we let you be the judge from what we've taught you previously. We're going to have fun with it. We're going to give you like a little pop quiz that you don't have to tell us the answers to at the end of each part, so that you can just have fun with to see if you got what we were trying to teach you. So we hope that you're going to have fun with this today. And if you are a brand new coach, the first parts are going to be more important to you, or if you've never competed. And some of you, if you're seasoned coaches and you've been in competition a long time, you still need the stuff toward the end. So please go through the whole thing and make sure that you get all those questions and answers for this that are up to date for this year's competition.
Okay, part 1 is entitled First Steps. It's going to be for our school teams, our game time division, as well as the Empower division. We're going to answer some questions for you, and hopefully that will help you with your first steps. The first question is, how and when do you decide it's time for your team to compete? Second question is going to be, why should we even compete? You might be thinking, we're just spirit leaders, we're just a club team. So we're going to talk about why you should compete. And then third, what are the most important first steps in deciding and preparing to compete? So let's get started right away. Number 1, how and when do you decide it's time for your team to compete? The answer might be very surprising to you. When you're first beginning to coach and you're setting up your program for the whole year, that's usually when you decide. However, there's never a wrong time for you to decide that your team is going to compete. But at the beginning, you can decide how your program is going to be built, what you're going to do throughout the entire year. You're going to set up your whole calendar, and you're going to plan for your practices, your fittings for your uniforms, your ordering, you're preparing for games, your finances, your camp, and then of course your competitions. This is a great way to earn respect in your sport, and even as a club or as an activity at your school, you should make a long-range plan and try to stick to it. You can start out in competitions even as just an exhibition or as a novice team. Nothing wrong with that. It's the old saying, you have to kiss a lot of frogs before you find Prince Charming. Well, in the cheer world, you have to fail and lose at a lot of competitions before you're crowned the winner. And you have to work at it and keep working at it and work at it some more, because there's always someone out there that has more time to practice, or they can practice longer or harder. So keep that in mind when you're going to competition. What if you're just taking over a team in the middle of the year? Somebody else has already planned out the year for you. It's not too late to get everybody ready to compete. Of course, the earlier you start, the better, but it's almost never too late to start getting them ready. So you can, if you need to, you can call our office. We'll be happy to help you in any way that we can. So that's the how and when you decide. We're going to move on to the why should my team compete. We're just a club sport. We're just a spirit little team. So why should we compete? So we're going to show you the CCA philosophy about competition. This is always printed in the Nationals book. It's in our registration packet. And it's always good to remind you of this, and it's going to help you know who we are, and it's going to help you know what you're getting yourself into when you come to one of our competitions. It's a great document to use to present to your athletic director or your administration if they're kind of standoffish or leery about you competing. And so we're going to go over what the competition philosophy is. The first and most important responsibility of a school of any age school team and any college cheerleader is to support the athletic teams, to raise and maintain overall school spirit and loyalty. All competition is secondary to that main goal. In fact, competition participation for school teams is normally a reward for a job well done in those other areas. Practices for competition and promotional activities at the expense of team support means that your priorities are all out of order. So that is the first thing you have to remember. Second is we have competitions to offer a place for these athletes who have selected cheerleading as their extracurricular activity, just as all other sports are able to do at every game. So it gives them an opportunity not just to build spirit, but to compete against others that are like them. And then the third reason is we have competitions to offer affordable competitions with individual and team rewards, and with nationals, the opportunity to be awarded college scholarships. So it really is a great way to recognize your athletes, those that are putting in a lot of hard work and really doing well for their team. All right, and then the third is, what are the most important first steps in deciding to compete? So there are 6 things that we'll talk about here. Decide which competition fits your schedule best. What time of year? How will it work with your sports schedule? Obviously, you can't compete on a day that you have a ball game. And also take into consideration the location. How far are you going to have to travel? Is this something that you will do in just one day on a day trip? Are you going to have to spend the night? That sort of stuff. The second thing that you're going to need to decide is to decide which competition fits the atmosphere of your school or team. Do you want a really fun, friendly one? Do you want one that's faith-based? Do you prefer a cutthroat competition? Whatever you want for your school, that's what you need to decide. Decide which competitions have extras. Things like stunt clinics, routine critiques, fun activities. Do you want to see a college game while you're having a competition that day? Do you want to have people that participate in a jump and tumble off? Do they have specialty awards? Things like that. So that's always a good thing to look into when you're trying to decide which competition you want to do. And then, of course, there's always the budget. Decide which competitions fit your budget best. Look at when the money is due. Look how much time you have to raise money. Look at how you're supposed to pay that, whether it be online, do you need to send a check, that sort of stuff. Then number 5 is decide which events have divisions that you need. If you are a beginning team, some competitions don't have divisions like that. So make sure they have a competition that you're going to go to has a division for, say, beginners or a novice team, if you need that. And then lastly, decide which competition or which event will prepare you with the best information in order to make the team the most comfortable. It is bad to go to a competition unprepared because maybe the event producers just didn't communicate well enough on what your athletes need to be doing at this competition. So do you need the rules for this competition? Do you need the rubrics? Do you need the score sheets? Make sure that you're getting all of that information that you need in order for your team to go and not be so nervous that they forget their entire routine. So that is the when, the how, the why, and the what of the competition season. And we're going to have 3 questions for you now that you can test yourself on your knowledge.